Any words from Kanye, man? Would you? All right.
Kanye publicly made Kid Cudi out to be his enemy.
But you know who the greatest of all of us? Kid Cudi.
Since 2008, the duo of Kanye West and Kid Cudi has been one of hip-hop's favorite pairings. And though on paper, Cudi and Kanye seem like the perfect fit, the road along the way has been a messy one. However, like most good stories, it's better if we start at the beginning.
I met Kanye like any other person as a fan.
The first encounter that Kanye and Cudi had would date back to a time before Cudi was even rapping, a time where he worked at Virgin's megastore in New York. On the other side of the coin, however, Kanye was already a megastar.
That's enough money to buy her a few pairs of new ears, cause a baby daddy don't really care.
And I was looking at CDs that I couldn't buy, and and he was standing right next to me looking at CDs
That he could buy.
and then that he could buy, and he had this exact chain on. And I remember seeing it, and I don't know, corner of my eye was gleaming, and I was like, and I saw him, and I was like, oh my God.
The story has gone on to become a legend in the lore of the relationship between the two. But nobody tells the story better than Cudi, so I'm just gonna let him tell it.
And him being like, yeah, so what's up? Getting off his phone, and I was just like, I'm from Cleveland, and I do music, and I really want to be signed. Can you sign me? I had no pitch. I was just this kid. I was like, could you just sign me? And he was like, man, I got so many artists right now, man, I'm trying to deal with right now. He's like, and unless you want some Biggie and Tupac type stuff or whatever. And I was like, nah. I'm not that good, but I have the potential for greatness. And I remember saying that.
Though their initial meeting wouldn't lead to much, eventually Cudi's hard work would land on the ears of Kanye West. Specifically, Kanye would come across a kid named Cudi, which was essentially Cudi's debut mixtape, and it all worked out. Kanye basically thought to himself, I gotta sign this kid, eventually landing him the hook of Already Home.
Oh, they want me to fall from the top. They want me to drop.
By November of 2008, Kid Cudi would feature alongside Kanye West on 808s and Heartbreak, with Kanye citing Cudi as a big inspiration in the direction of the record. His features on Paranoid and Welcome to Heartbreak are amazing. A year later, Cudi would release his debut record Man on the Moon, which would feature Kanye West both on production and on the rapping side.
She said she want whatever she like.
Overall, the record is considered to be a modern classic, paving the way for many of the current generation of rappers. And though Kanye didn't have much to do with the record on the creative side of things, he still gets a lot of credit in terms of putting Cudi on the map.
Cause day and night, the lonely loner seems to free his mind.
And I mean, it seems to me like a win-win. Cudi receives the popularity that comes alongside being associated with Kanye, and Kanye is blessed with the creativity of Kid Cudi. For whatever reason, this pair just works best that way. Both Cudi and Kanye would prepare to release projects, with Cudi releasing Man on the Moon 2 and Kanye releasing My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Thankfully, both rappers appear on each other's records, and they both put in some pretty good performances, if I may say so.
I'm Yeezy. She said, hi, Maria. No, you an angel. You ain't hot to a
Kanye pulls up for the feature on Erase Me, as well as a brief cameo on the music video for Mr. Rager. Kid Cudi, on the other hand, he pulls up for the feature on Gorgeous, and more notably, All of the Lights. If the story stopped here, then Cudi and Kanye would be a 100% winning formula with no drawbacks. However, we're not even close to being done. On April of 2013, Kid Cudi would announce that he'd leave Good Music. And though Cudi would say there was no hard feelings and it was just a difference in creative, his third studio album, In the Cut, would kind of imply a more heated departure. As a side note, Cudi would also say on the Joe Rogan podcast that In the Cut had some of the most aggressive songs he had ever made. Now that isn't necessarily indicative of hate towards Kanye, but I'm just saying. Also, the album fails to feature Kanye, which for a Cudi album is kind of crazy. It's not even that he wasn't doing features, because on the record you can find people like Kendrick Lamar or A$AP Rocky, maybe even legends like RZA, Too Short, or Michael Bolton. Which, I mean, I guess I get it. On the other side of things, Kanye would release Yeezus, which although it's looked at now in a favorable precision, back in 2013, people hated it.
I was ecstatic to buy Yeezus, but I burned it first. Heard it and snapped it in 5 pieces.
I'm not even trying to say that I wanted the spitterific Kanye. Right. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I'm not getting anything except surface level mimicry from this album.
About a decade removed though, people think Kanye was right about everything. Regardless though, someone who was heated when the album dropped was none other than Kid Cudi. Because when he logged on to Twitter and he saw that he was featured on the album, he was pissed. Mostly because he didn't even remember recording the song that he was featured in. The issue being that Cudi didn't understand why Kanye didn't reach out to him. Which now that I think about it makes me question the legality of this. But hey, Kanye's Kanye, I guess. 2014 brought forward Kid Cudi's Satellite Flight, the worst received album he had put out up to that point. A trend that would only continue with the release of Speeding Bullet to Heaven. On the flip side, it seemed like artists do like the record. And more importantly, Kanye liked it. At least allegedly, because I couldn't find any real footage of Kanye saying he liked it, or even a tweet, just this like complex article saying that he did. So 2016 was the first time in a long time that the duo would reconnect with the release of Flight for Pablo. The record would bring along one of the most, if not the most iconic song that the duo would have. Everything was good on the surface. However, 2016 wasn't necessarily the best year for either of these guys, especially for Kid Cudi, who would check himself into rehab to take care of his mental health. Just a few weeks beforehand though, Cudi would lash out at Kanye for a bunch of things. It was under the guise of Kanye and Drake not writing their own raps, but I feel like there's more to it.
Kid Cudi, don't never mention your name.
Kanye would also lash out at Kid Cudi, and rightfully so. But I guess once he understood the gravity of his situation, he made up with Kid Cudi. They hugged it out and it was all good. 2018 would see Kanye and Kid Cudi embark on Kid See Ghost.
It feels so good it should cost. Brought an alligator, I ain't talking Lacoste.
The duo's first collaborative album, and honestly some of the best work of both of their careers. But life goes on, and sometimes your best friend divorces his wife. So here's Pete Davidson.
And then Cudi goes, hey, Kim and Kanye might come by. And I was like, that would be awesome. And then I was like, oh no.
Would seem like an irrelevant character to the story.
No, Kanye told me I had AIDS.
In a post-divorce world, he would turn into Kanye's biggest enemy.
God sent me from that crash just so I could beat Pete Davidson's ass. Who?
Because of this, Kanye would make the decision not to add Kid Cudi to Donda 2, and he would announce it publicly, which then made Kid Cudi mad because private matters are private, you know what I mean? Cudi called him a dinosaur, which made Kanye fans pissy for some reason, and then they started the Kid Cudi hate trail. For the past year and a half, Kanye fans that were Kid Cudi fans turned into Kid Cudi haters. They threw like a water bottle at him, which was the corniest shit I've ever seen. And on the other side of things, Kanye got more and more off the rails. If you want to talk about cult of personality, Kanye is the real cult of personality down in Chicago. And you would think that the story of Kanye ended there, but nope. Him and Kid Cudi finally made up again. And I thought Kid Cudi was gonna stand on business, to be honest with you. But you know, power of friendship, I guess. Can't rock with him as a person. Shout out to Jay Dilla. Shout out to me. Shout out to Kid Cudi. And shout out to y'all.